Welcome back to the God Pill. I know it's been ages since I last uploaded and I apologize. Much as donations are welcome, adequate feedback and requests alone are enough to have an effect on output frequency. So never hesitate to respond to this or past videos. I knew that this territory would be covered eventually, so may as well roll with it. This and several other videos in the future will approach topics related to mainstream Christianity's doctrine of the Trinity. Personally, I am and have always been approximately semi-Aryan in my Christology, but Christology is not the topic of this video, but rather the Holy Spirit. One can rest easy. I have no intention of making any significant assertions on the Holy Spirit in the scope of this video. It's one of the biblical topics I speak with the least measure of certainty. I would recommend people read a Christian apocrypha, The Shepherd of Hermas. As someone that's read the Bible cover to cover many times, roughly all Old Testament apocrypha, all non-commodity text, and a fair measure of New Testament apocrypha, Shepherd seems to have the most utility in us familiarizing ourselves with something more enigmatic than it may seem on the surface. For example, the word spirit is masculine in Latin, neutral in Greek, and feminine in Hebrew. So a Greek or Hebrew background or relationship with biblical text could have a dynamic influence on one's perception of the Spirit at any time historically. One thing that stands out is the term Holy Spirit is almost entirely absent from the Old Testament, occurring only 3 times. In contrast, the term Spirit of Elohim, a word for spirit beings that can be fairly ambiguous as well as plural in usage, and the more specific term Spirit of Jehovah in the New Testament. In the New Testament, there is the Spirit of truth, which it's fair to conclude is the Spirit of Christ, given Yeshua is the way, the truth, and the life. I was raised in an Adventist denomination that depicts the Spirit as a mere impersonal active force from God, straightforward energy, I suppose. While the text of the Protestant canon provide us very little in the way of information on the consciousness of the Holy Spirit, one knows a tree by its fruits. The New Testament is quite clear on the fruitage of the Spirit. It's also clear that the Holy Spirit is distinct from the Father and Son, and that sinning against the Father or Son is forgivable, but sinning against the Holy Spirit is not. Finally, the Holy Spirit can be grieved, so it's fair to conclude that it has an emotional spectrum inclusive of joy and sorrow. Given the Hebrew etymological background, it is safe to conclude that the Ruach HaKodesh is feminine in nature, and that is supported by the opinions of early Jewish Christian sects. We don't have a copy of the Gospel of the Hebrews, but there are writings from early Christians' history that describe it and its contents. It was a slightly longer version of Matthew's Gospel that might have been its original draft. The main differences were more emphasis on Jesus' half-brother James, and that among the signs there was fire on the water around Jesus at his baptism. One distinct part is that Jesus refers to the Spirit as his mother. The early Jewish Christian sects that subscribed to this version of Matthew's Gospel would have been of this persuasion. There were others, however. One Jewish Christian sect, the Ecclesites, had their own book and claimed to have received information from 2 96-mile-tall angels, one being Christ, the other his sister, the Holy Spirit. This sect had issues like believing in reincarnation, something even some modern Christians fall into by interpreting one passage as suggesting John the Baptist as a reincarnation of Elijah. They are worth note, however, not only from how early they were and their background, but also because they apparently had a book on the wars in heaven, which could perhaps have been the Book of the Wars of Jehovah that the Bible mentions, but sadly has not historically resurfaced as of yet. For some years, I've suspected a sort of particle-wave duality, for lack of a better term, of spirit creatures, the local presence and body, in a manner of speaking, of the being, the particle, the spirit of the spirit being, which can serve as an extension of, be plural and non-local, as analogous to the waveform. In this matter, the particle, the spirit being, is the masculine principle, and the spirit of the spirit being, going by the Hebrew grammar, the feminine. In this case, the Holy Spirit could be the feminine spirit aspect of either the Father or the Son. Now, the Ruach HaKodesh is holy, and holiness belongs to Jehovah, but it's not quite that simple. See, the Son is given a name above every other name. Also, there's a Gnostic text that says the name of the Father is the Son. The Father ultimately shares everything with the Son. The Metatron might mean throne share, and it's pretty clear that originally Metatron was Jesus, and Pharisees of later centuries tried to oppose this by retconning him into Enoch. One of Metatron's titles is the Lesser Jehovah. The pre-incarnate Christ operates as the angel of Jehovah, as the Father's agent. Finally, the Elohim of Israel is their angel Prince Michael, and their Elohim is a Jehovah, the eldest son of El Elyon, God Most High. So holiness in the Ruach HaKodesh could arguably belong to either. Then there is all the Jewish traditions around the Spirit as a Shekinah, the cloud of glory of the angel of Jehovah, the cloud-riding angel. So in conclusion, I have no opinions, but the 4 equally persuasive cases I see as a non-Trinitarian Christian are that The Ruach HaKodesh is the Spirit of the Father, that the Ruach HaKodesh is the Spirit of the Son and the Shekinah. The Ruach HaKodesh is a being separate from Father and Son, Christ's Heavenly Mother. Or Jesus' little sister, the first creation made through Christ, and likely the Judeo-Christian equivalent of Anima Mundi, the Platonic world/cosmos soul. I expect the majority of people of faith in my audience to be mainstream Trinitarian Christians. While I do not subscribe to that doctrine, everyone's feedback is welcome. I simply present here thought-provoking alternatives to what I view as a triune modalism that permeates most Christian thought. Have a great day, everyone. Don't hesitate to like, share, subscribe, donate, or comment, as well as make any topic or video request. Until next time, may you receive a double portion of Spirit.